I'm JJ Virgin, PhD dropout, sorry mom, turned 4-time New York Times bestselling author. Yes, I'm a certified nutrition specialist, fitness Hall of Famer, and I speak at health conferences and trainings around the globe. But I'm driven by my insatiable curiosity and love of science to keep asking questions, digging for answers, and sharing the information I uncover with as many people as I can. And that's why I created the Well Beyond 40 podcast, to synthesize and simplify the science of health into actionable strategies to help you thrive. In each episode, we'll talk about what's working in the world of wellness, from personalized nutrition and healing your metabolism to healthy aging and prescriptive fitness. Join me on the journey to better health so you can love how you look and feel right now and have the energy to play full out at 100. So you're eating well, you're exercising, you're managing your stress, you're sleeping well. Yay, check, 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 check. Or maybe you're looking at improving those a little bit, but you want to know what the next level is. And you've heard about some of the different tests out there, like a full body MRI or maybe a liquid biopsy that can help you with early detection. Because one of the things we know with whether it's cardiovascular disease, which is our number one killer, or cancers, that early detection really is the single most important thing. I have been so curious about these tests, which ones make sense to do, which ones don't. There's been so much information flying around the internet. And I'm super excited today to have Dr. Darshan Shah with me, because we are going to unpack all of those tests, the things you've been hearing about, like doing a coronary calcium scan, doing a liquid biopsy, doing a Clearly test. What are all these different tests? Are they worth it? What should you do? If so, when should you do them, or how often? What are they going to tell you? We're going to unpack all of that. And we're also going to talk about what are the most important pillars really for longevity. What are the things that really are the 80-20, that 20% that will make the biggest 80% difference. I have got an incredible new friend here today. I must say new friend, because it was absolutely one of those people that you first meet him and go, this is someone I've been looking for a long time. Super smart, super fun. He is a well-known health specialist, surgeon, author, entrepreneur, and he's the founder of Next Health. This is the clinic that is sweeping the nation. There are now 6 and 44 on the way all over the country and actually all over the world. And this is the world's largest health optimization and longevity clinic. And not only is it doing all of the fundamentals and then the advanced testing, but it also has some of the advanced fun stuff too, the biohacking lab. So we're going to be talking about that, and also what things you are going to be looking at, wanting to look at, to optimize your well-being and extend your lifespan. Because literally Dr. Shah has helped thousands of patients do this. So this is another Doogie Howser here. He completed his medical training and finished all of that at 21. He also has alumni status at Harvard Business School and Singularity University, quite an overachiever and super smart, and has really put all of this together in a way that makes it very understandable, so that you can figure out what you do next. Now, I've put all of this information so you can look at Next Health and also, look at these different tests and what you might want to be thinking about doing. I put them all at jjvirgin.com/Next Health, and I will be right back with Dr. Darshan Shah. Stay with me. Dr. Darshan Shah, I don't know where you've been all my life, but you're a keeper.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
That's so sweet of you.
Yes. I mean, when I met you last night for the first time at our party, it was like, where have you been? Like a long lost friend.
I've been following you for a long time, and I'm so glad to finally be
Really?
to you.
What are you following me for?
I've got into this world of health, wellness, nutrition quite a long time ago, actually. And back when there weren't many podcasts out there, and you were one of the first podcasts I was listening to for quite a while.
Oh, wow.
Actually, yeah. So I've been following you for a while, and, we can talk more about kind of like my trials and tribulations in business and things like that. But all throughout that, like I've had your podcast on the auto download list.
Wow, that makes my heart sing. You never know. You put these things out there and he goes, anybody listening? Anybody out there? So I'd love to go back because you've had quite a journey. In fact, when you were coming in here, I was looking over some stuff. I was kind of stalking you, and I go, "You're like Doogie Howser."
Oh, thank you.
You graduated medical school at 21.
Yes, I did.
And
Yes.
then you ended up with, like, tell us through your journey, because you've made a big leap.
Yeah.
Which I'm super excited about.
Yeah. So, I came from a family of physicians, and for me, being a physician was my goal. And for many reasons. One is, I had a lot of familial pressure to become a physician, but also I saw a lot of like the respect they got. I saw a lot of good that they were doing, and I wanted to just go into medicine. So I rushed through school. I was very lucky to be able to graduate early. And the nice thing about that for me was it afforded me the opportunity, now looking back in retrospect, to really get kind of multiple careers in medicine. So my first career, as soon as I graduated from medical school, was to learn surgery. And I did trauma surgery. I did general surgery. I did a lot of emergency surgeries. And so doing that, you really gain an appreciation for the human body, right? I mean, you when you're operating and you see this incredible machine work, you gain an incredible amount of appreciation for that. So I did that for about 10 years, and then I decided I wanted to learn more. And I went to the Mayo Clinic and I trained in reconstructive surgery. And after I got done with that, I started a business opening surgery centers and hiring other surgeons to work at those surgery centers. And I was also operating at.
I was going to say, wait, you jumped ship. So you were both being a reconstructive surgeon and opening surgery centers.
Exactly. So I was an entrepreneur and operating 12, 14 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week.
How was your sleep?
This is what led to all of my issues. I
forgot to sleep.
Exactly. Oops, I forgot to sleep. Oops, I forgot to buy my own food and cook it.
Oh boy, you were eating hospital food?
Hospital food.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And hospital food, even now, you go to the hospital, it's probably some of the worst stuff for you, And so, I was eating whatever I could find. I was stressed out. I was working in the business and working on the business. And I became very sick. I was 45, 50 pounds heavier than what you see right now. Worse than that, though, I had an autoimmune condition developing. So I couldn't really move well. My joints were all really aching.
And you were how old?
I was 40 years old.
Oh,
well, I mean, all this started in my 30s.
Right.
For 10 years,
you don't just wake up with autoimmune disease one day, as we know, or 45 extra pounds.
Exactly.
So, but wow, I mean, it wasn't like you were like 70 with achy joints.
I felt like a 70-year-old. Yeah, I felt like I was on 3 blood pressure medications.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and they couldn't get my blood pressure under control. I could not sleep. And so I did what any person who wants to get well does. So my wife became pregnant with our first child when I was about 40. And I decided that I need to make a major change, because I remember this day like it was yesterday. I came home one day from work. It was like literally 10 o'clock at night. And I opened up a medical journal, and there was like this chart in one of the articles about if you have metabolic syndrome combined with an autoimmune disease, your 20-year survival rate is basically cut in half. And so I was like doing the math on my own. I was like, that's me. Check. Mm-hmm. I had like a 50% chance or higher of dying before my son graduated from college.
Wow.
That's what the math showed that. I was like, I have to make a change here. And so 10 years ago, that's what led to kind of this new journey and this new career I have now.
Wow. Yeah, there's nothing like kids where all of a sudden you stop doing some of the dumb stuff you've been doing. You're like, I need to be around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So you had the wake up, the epiphany. How did you learn all of the different things? Because as we know, these are not things taught in medical school,
exactly.
Right? So what'd you do?
I did not have the knowledge. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go to Beverly Hills and hire the best concierge medical doctor I can find. He or she must know how to fix me. So I go down to Beverly Hills.
This was 10 years ago?
10 years ago, yeah. 10 years ago. $25,000 later, he prescribes me a brand new autoimmune medication.
Oh, no.
To dampen my immune system.
Because concierge back then, and even now, doesn't mean integrative.
No, not at all.
It just means, Neiman Marcus level service.
Yeah, you just get their cell phone number. You can call them whenever you want. If you have a cough or cold, you call them. But still, no advice on nutrition, no advice on exercise, no advice on stress.
Too bad I didn't meet you 10 years ago when I was working with one of these high-end doctors in Beverly Hills.
I would have loved to.
That would have been fun.
Yeah, I should have went down the phone book a few times. So then, he also noticed that I was kind of depressed about my situation, so he put me on Prozac. So now instead of 10 pills, I'm on 14 pills. And so I was like, this is not going to work for me. So I decided, I talked to a group of my friends and I decided to take some time off and focus on my health. And so that meant to me what it means to, like you as well. I know you, for listening to your podcast, like go get educated about this stuff, go learn. And so I went to conferences around nutrition. I went to conferences. I got my personal trainer certification about exercise. Yeah, so I'm like, where was all of this in medical school? Like this should have been an entire semester, half a year.
Well, come on. I actually was talking to Dr. Andy Galpin about this. Yeah. I was like, who I'm obsessed with. Yeah. But I was like, why is it? Because I had this epiphany. I go, doctors get an hour of nutrition, but they get no hours of exercise. Zero. And he goes, come on, let's be real. I was all the way up in a PhD program in exercise science, and I still feel like there's so much to learn. How could a doctor expect to be expected to know nutrition and exercise and it's too much.
Absolutely.
It's just overload.
Well, and here's the thing. I think people really need to recognize the bucket of Western medicine is meant to diagnose disease and treat that disease, right? And so if you have an emergency, say you have an autoimmune crisis, you end up in the ICU, you need a Western medicine trained doctor. You don't need, a personal trainer at that point in time. But that entire bucket is completely different than the bucket of lifestyle and health, right? And so I think once I in my mind separated those two, I had that aha moment, like, I'm using the Western medical system to achieve something that it was never meant to achieve in the first place.
Right.
And so that's why going out and educating myself really started to move the needle for me. And then this is where I fell into, like 10 years ago, functional medicine wasn't really a big thing, right? It was just starting with IFM and IHS. And so I fell into an IFM conference. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is
you went to, and you heard Jeff Bland.
Yes, exactly.
I remember the first time I heard Dr. Jeff Bland, I think it was like maybe 15, 20 years ago. And I'm like, he's making up words.
Yeah. Exactly.
What is he talking about?
Causing what? From what?
Metabolomics? What is he talking about?
That's exactly how I felt. But then I realized that there was something definitely here. And it was incredible. Like within 8 months, I lost like 35, 40 pounds. I got off almost all my medications. And I was like, this is... And I was talking to my surgical patients too at this point in time. And a lot of them avoided surgery just by doing some of the same things I did. Because they would ask me like, you're looking so good, Dr. Shah. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, let me tell you, I learned to sleep better. I started, my meals with fiber instead of eating pancakes every morning, And so just these little changes made such a massive difference that I, number one, got myself healthy. But number two, I realized like, this is the medicine I want to practice. And so then I changed my entire career into combining kind of the best of what Western medicine has to offer with this entire field of functional medicine, nutrition, exercise physiology.
So important too, because I've always felt like in the years that I've been studying all this, there was this divide. There was like functional, integrated, natural, holistic versus, I had a son who nearly died. Was hit by a car lifter dead in the street, traumatic brain. Like he had a torn aorta. Oh. He had massive brain injury, and he had 13 fractures, which was the least of the issues at the time. Crushed, healed, whole bit. And the trauma center, he went to Harvard, UCLA. Yeah. Amazing,
unbelievable,
amazing doctors there. And this one, Dr. Carlos Donaire, who's like, the angel forever. And they got him to, like. I wouldn't have wanted, someone treating with supplements he would die on the table, right? I needed the surgeon.
Trauma surgeon, right?
But once we got him through all of that, they wanted to keep him in the hospital. I go, I'm taking him home. And now we're going to start hyperbaric and red light and exercise and, and neurofeedback and everything else. And we're going to bring him back through. Exactly. And so you've got to use, why wouldn't you use all the tools available?
All the tools. That's so key. And that's the realization I had. Like, there's some great stuff in Western medicine. Like one of my things I did at Mayo Clinic was I did a lot of research with the hyperbaric oxygen chambers. And, we were treating people with like massive injuries that had like like large amounts of tissue loss, and the hyperbaric oxygen would heal these massive injuries from the inside out. I'm like, why can't we use that for people that are not in the hospital?
Yeah.
And so one of the first things I did when I started this new career was get a hyperbaric chamber so that people can use it for their wellness, and it makes a big difference. So that's just one example of using all the tools that you have available to you.
So you've now put together these centers.
Yes.
And you have, I think you said 6 of them, but you have like 44 more getting ready to go. So someone's going to come into a center. Walk us through the process? Like who's a candidate? What can happen for them? And what do you see? Well, I'll let you do that. And then I have another key question so that anyone listening, whether they come in or not, will have some key takeaways they can do.
Yes, I'd love to talk about that. So basically, the people that come into our center are people that are either they realize that their exercise is on point, they're doing good nutrition as best as they can. They've heard about sleep, they've read about it, they're helping their sleep, but they know there's more,
Yeah.
And so what's beyond the basics, the basic pillars? How can I access functional medicine? How can I access the best of Western medicine and bring that into my life? So that's one group of people. Another group of people are people like in the situation that I was, people that are frustrated with the Western medical system, just getting put on more and more medications and don't really have the tools available to them to turn back their health span, to turn back the clock of their health and get healthier. So that's another group of people. And then a third group of people we have are like the advanced people that are already doing all of this stuff. They've had biomarker panels on, and they want real longevity medicine. So we call ourselves a health optimization and longevity center. And what we do is we combine, because this is what I did in my career, and I have a whole structure around this, combine the best of sleep, nutrition, and exercise education with functional medicine, and then Western medicine, keeping you alive, making sure you don't die. So the diagnostics of Western medicine. And then lastly, when we get all that right, we talk about longevity medicine. And I'm making this like real thing because I have this thing called the wellness wheel that we take them through this journey.
Well, what I love the most, we were talking offline about this, is you got to fix the big rocks first.
Exactly.
I'm always amazed. I'm like, sleep, nutrition, exercise, like these have to be. And for me, sleep also has stress. Sleep and stress are put into one, right? And I put recovery in there too. That's really all the recovery pillar. Like if you're stressed out, you're not going to be able to recover, And then I think exercise, we actually need to move it more even into movement, because you can't exercise 20 minutes a day and sit on your butt for the rest of the time, as we know, right? So I'm like, I became obsessed this year. I'm like, now I'm going to really be a good step tracker too. So, and then of course, nutrition is just such a huge pillar that creates so much animosity online. And like, there's like religious wars. And I go, these are just tools, people. Diets are tools. You have to pick the one that's right for you. And so those, like, I would say do those because then you'll see where you're at and what really is going to need to get tweaked and fixed. So someone coming in, like, what are some of the key diagnostic tests and tools you think people should be going through?
Yeah, that's all very well said. And so, I think in those pillars, people get paralysis by overanalysis, just too much information, right? And so we really try to distill it down. I use what's called the Pareto principle. Do you know what that is?
Oh, yes.
The 20% of information is give you the 80% of the difference.
Right. The little hinges swinging the big doors. Right?
Exactly.
What can you do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we talk about. But the other thing, like you mentioned, was diagnostic tools. Okay. So we really encourage people to become the CEO of their own health. We talk about this a lot with our patients. And by that, I mean, who runs their business by looking at their KPIs once a year with a consultant that only has 15 minutes to spend time with them, right? And you're not going to run your business that way. So why would you run your health that way? So we educate people on the KPIs of their health. What are the key biomarkers they need to know? So
what are those?
Okay. So in the blood testing world, we do about 10 biomarkers we want people to follow. Hemoglobin A1C is one of them, HSCRP, which is an inflammatory marker. ApoB is another one. Homocysteine levels, uric acid levels. So there's like a little list we give people. We actually give them a spreadsheet so they can put these things in there.
What's nice too, and then do you put optimal ranges? Because
optimal ranges.
Such a mess out there.
Right.
What's nice about that? Because I talk about the fact that 6.8% of us pre-pandemic were metabolically healthy. But then when you look at what the metabolic health marker ranges were, those are not metabolically healthy. I'm like, what are we now? Like maybe 3% of the population is really metabolically healthy.
Yeah.
But already I'm hearing tests in there that you go to the doctor and they're not looking at ApoB,
Exactly.
and they're not looking at homocysteine,
Right.
and they're not looking at uric acid. I'm sure fasting insulin's in there too. And I look at these and go, why are we missing the ones that have the biggest determinant when you really look at them? Just like, are you doing VO2 max testing by?
Yes. We utilize VO2 max, skeletal muscle mass, DEXA scans.
Nice.
We're utilizing, and the reason we're not looking at those, and I'll tell you exactly the reason, is that none of those have a number that's diagnostic of a disease. So, if you go to a Western trained medical doctor, they look at homocysteine level. If they even look at it, most of them won't order it. Like, what are they going to do with the homocysteine level that's high? The tools are there to fix that in that world. You know what I mean?
It's so funny. It's one of the easier ones to.
And it is one of the easier ones to fix, right? But there's not a prescription medication that's attached to homocysteine level.
So it's amazing to me, and I'm so thrilled you're doing VO2s. And also, when you look at like DEXA, there's not even norms for how much skeletal muscle mass you should have.
Yeah.
Like how, or body fat percentage. And the body fat percentage norms I was taught in doctoral school are totally different than what are listed now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sure that we didn't change in the last 30 years. Why is it all of a sudden okay now to be 30% body fat when back then it was? Why did this become okay?
Right.
Right. How could that possibly be?
Yeah.
So for the VO2 max, like how much are you getting into exercise and specific exercise prescription stuff?
Yeah. So on the exercise pillar, you're absolutely right. You have to have, there's multiple mini pillars within that, right?
Right.
And so the Pareto principle is exactly what you said. Don't be sedentary. Okay, that's the first thing we got to fix, okay?
So the average American, I was just looking up when I was doing my talk here at IHS, average American right now is getting 3,000 to 4,000 steps a day.
Yeah,
that is
believe it.
Wild.
It's wild. Yeah.
Gosh.
And I would say that I would even think it's even lower than that from what I could see in my patients. Yeah. And so, we tell people just because you exercise 20, 30, even an hour a day doesn't mean that counteracts the negative effects of you sitting there for 4 hours plus. So the studies on sedentary behavior show after 4 hours is when it really starts affecting your health. And for every 10% increase you have after 4 hours of sedentary behavior, you increase your all-cause mortality rate by 10%. So it's just like a massive, like exponential curve on the deleterious effects of being sedentary. So
first, you just need a shocker in the seat.
Well, there's something similar to that. I have an app on my laptop that every 45 minutes it shuts the screen off. If you can't do that, just get an egg timer and it goes off every 45 minutes.
We can all do this on because these apps are set up now to just ping you. I had a friend, Manesh Sethi, and he made this. It's called Pavlok, and it was to create new habits, and it was a little shocker watch.
Shocker, yeah. I remember that. I remember reading about it. Like, some people need that. So, and then on the VO2 max, so we put into place, and the other pillars are, of course, VO2 max training, zone 2 exercise training, and strength training. So we put all those into place, and then a lot of education around recovery. Because, if you are, I see so much over-exercising down one pillar, not mixing it enough, especially after the age of 40, 45, you really need to have a balanced exercise regime versus just going down one pillar a lot.
Yeah, and most of the time what I see is people going, and I think this is the issue with exercise. Exercise could be Qigong,
yes,
or powerlifting.
Yeah.
It's like anything in between, but you do see a lot of people just erring on the cardio side.
You do.
And when I was in school, they're like, do not have people lift weights till they've lost the weight. I'm like, I was rogue and I violated that because I go, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's exact opposite. Right. But, especially as you age, if you are cardiocentric, you're going to make yourself worse.
You're going to make yourself worse. You're going to create more inflammation. You're going to damage your joints.
You're going to lose those fast twitchers.
Exactly. Lose the fast twitch muscle fibers, all of that. And so we spend a lot of time, for women mostly, getting them to add strength training and cut back on the cardio. And for men, a lot of men are just gym rats, right? Like they just want to spend
bison chest.
Exactly. Today's leg day, chest day, arm day. It's like, where's your walking day? There's none of that. So yeah, so we do a lot of balancing of exercise routine. And then, like everyone asks, like, what is the right amount? So I always start slow, and then we look at their VO2 max and if they're improving. If we're improving VO2 max, we know we're adding in enough. If we're not improving it, we know that we need to add more. And the same goes for like zone 2 and measuring lactate thresholds and those.
You do all of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Your patients must love doing those VO2 max tests. But explain what a VO2 max test is for everybody.
Yeah. So a VO2
without
max,
scaring them.
Yeah. So a VO2 max test is when you get on a treadmill, or you can actually do it on a bike too, and you have you exercise to understand what is a maximum uptake of oxygen that your mitochondria are able to do, basically, as a very basic level. And so we have numbers on in research that show that after you reach the age of 40, your VO2 max will decline if you're not exercising. And so you have different levels of where you should be, that number should be, for your age group and your sex. And so you really want to aim for that number. So I always use 50 at 50. If you can be 50 at 50, you're doing okay. And if you can go beyond that, that's even better, because then you build up a reserve for when you become 70 and 80.
And this is, of any of the tests, I think the biggest correlation was all-cause mortality, right?
Exactly. Yeah, there's a massively correlated with all-cause mortality. There's a lot of research around this test on the strength front with grip strength testing.
Yeah, I brought a little prop to my talk yesterday. You would have thought they were like, "What is that?"
You brought a grip strength.
I brought a hand grip dynamometer. They were like, "What?" No, people are ordering it on Amazon, but I mean, it's $30.
Yeah.
And the other cool thing with hand grip dynamometers, it's a way to test grip strength.
Yep.
I told the story. I go, I was always the jar opener at home. Now it's interesting because I was showing research showing that your strength declines much faster than your muscle mass, and I actually have the same or more muscle mass than I did even in my 20s and 30s, but my strength was declining because I was having trouble opening jars. And I go, what is this? Pull-ups to the rescue.
Yeah.
This does not mean go squeeze tennis balls, right? This means like go do a farmer's carry or,
That is such a good point, because I have this conversation with people all the time. Like, why don't I just buy one of those grip, those exercises
proxy
for your
for
grip?
your overall strength. It's not about your grip strength.
And the same is true of VO2 max. It's a proxy for your overall cardiovascular fitness and your mitochondrial health. It's not just, go to HIIT training once a week and you're improving. It's a proxy for all the work you're putting in.
Now, when you're doing a DEXA, how are you unpacking that? What are you looking at?
Yeah. So with the DEXA scan, we're looking at bone density. We're looking at visceral fat. We're looking at skeletal muscle mass as well, mostly appendicular, so arm and leg skeletal muscle mass, and comparing that to charts as well as to where we think you should be. But really, it's not. I think a lot of people get so hung up on they have a long way to go from where they are to where it should be. I really try to explain to people that it's not about where you should be so much as are you improving or are you declining? And so I try not to focus so much on where they should be. I just like to focus on, okay, we're here now. Here's how we're going to improve you. Let's check again in 6 months and let's see where you're at in 6 months. Make sure that the actions we put in place are making a difference in the right direction.
What I love about all of that is the in between when you're focusing on resistance training. This is why early on it was like, okay, I was one of the first personal trainers. I could run with people, but if I take them to the gym, they're seeing all these changes because all of a sudden they're stronger. It is very quantifiable.
Yes.
Versus you went for a run.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's very. And a lot of people, most people like to see numbers, the frequency of those numbers, some people like to see them every day. Some people like to see them once every 6 months, but there's very few people I find that don't like the numbers, and those people I just let me manage numbers for them and tell them if they're going in the right direction. So I think what's really important is for everyone to realize there's not one way of doing this and works for everybody. And for me, I see hundreds of patients. And so, I try to divide people up into groups of what is their tolerance to looking at the numbers? And I try to fit the program and my communication style to what the patient is going to react the best to create compliance.
Yeah. So on the sleep front,
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
what is I think this is one of the most complicated topics of all, the whole sleep unpacking. And there's also all this crazy information out there online about sleep. What are some of your fundamentals for sleep?
And my parental principle on sleep is, number one, if you have sleep apnea, you have to have it treated. And so I can't tell you the number of patients that I see come in with sleep apnea and people that don't even look like they should have sleep apnea. I see like runners that have sleep apnea that have a body mass index of like 20.
Wow. And how are you finding out about sleep apnea?
We ask them questions. So there's a stop bang questionnaire that we go put them through. And then we measure their sleep at night. So we have the home sleep monitor that measures their pulse oximeter and their heart rate at night. And we find multiple episodes of their oxygen levels dropping at night. And so we have to fix that one way or the other. Yeah. And a lot of people is as simple as like raising the head of their bed, but some people do need CPAP. Some people do even need surgery to get it fixed. So, I think if you have sleep apnea, the solution is not like, wearing blue blocker glasses. You have to be aggressive.
Can't add that.
Exactly. So once we make sure that we have that addressed, or we've ruled it out, then we move on to, I always say, one of the best ways for us to know how you're sleeping is to track it in some way or form. We need a tracker. We're not going to use it forever. Let's use it for 6 to 8 weeks to see where you're at and what actions we can put into place to improve your sleep. Those actions are divided into 2 categories, your sleep routine and your sleep environment. And then we just start making little changes to both of those to get them to the point of improving their sleep quality. And by sleep quality, I don't mean just like the 7-8 hours of sleep. I also mean making sure they're getting enough deep sleep and REM sleep as well.
Which do you have a sleep tracker you prefer?
I don't. And the reason is different things work better for different people.
I know. I just use 2 and take the better score.
That's another way of doing it too. Some people are, they can wear a ring on their finger at night. Some people can't. So, some people like to have a little pad under their mattress at night to wear. Some people do it on their watch. So I try to work with what they have and what they're already used to.
Yeah.
But I will say my favorite for me personally is I've been using the 8 sleep bed lately. So I've been,
what is it?
The 8 sleep bed. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it. I've heard of it.
Okay. Yeah.
So
what's great about it is it's a mattress cover, or you can buy a mattress, but it's a cover that actually times the temperature of your sleeping environment. So it changes the temperature of your bed.
Wow.
Yeah. With your sleep cycles.
Okay, I really do need to check it out.
Yeah.
What does it do about the dogs in the bed?
I can't do much about the dogs in the bed, unfortunately. I think that it might make the dogs uncomfortable enough that they leave because they don't see our genetics are wired to look at signals to decide when it's time to sleep and when it's time to wake up. One of those signals is temperature. So as it got cool at night, when we were cavemen and we didn't have temperature controlled environments all the time, it was a massive signal to our biology that it's time to sleep. And as it got warm again during the day, it was a signal to wake up. And so I found that just that has improved my personal sleep quality by like 50% just by doing.
Yeah, we are
control.
Adamant with the dropping of the temperature at night. Yes. And we're trying to, this is more challenging. I say we have the coolest stuff at home. Like we have a sunlight sauna and we have a relaxed sauna and we have a cold plunge. We have Juve red lights, but we're not home. So it's not helping.
I know.
But when we are home, but I do it on the road, I just take hot baths and then we just drop that temperature down. As low as possible.
So it's a great signal. It does. The other thing that's really important about sleep that a lot of people don't realize is your sleep routine starts the moment you wake up. And so the first thing you want to do when you wake up is try to go outside, like physically put your body outside and look at and expose your eyeballs to sunlight. And don't look at the sun, just be outside and look at the sunlight. Even if it's a cloudy day, the signal still works for your brain to set your circadian rhythm at that point. Like that's morning for your brain, right?
Now, on the nutrition front, before we get to some of the other fun stuff, just because nutrition's a whole other, I know. It's been like 10 hours on this.
Yes.
But are there some like clear-cut things that you focus on?
Yes. So I always go back to the parental principle. That the most important thing you can do with your nutrition that will probably make the most difference is just cut out ultra-processed food. then you can pretty much eat almost anything you want. But cutting out ultra processed food is a massive first step.
Right? I mean, who picks out on broccoli?
Right. Exactly. But it goes beyond that. I think, cutting out ultra processed food is not just like having like packaged food at home. It's also a lot of us eat more than 50% of our meals out, right? And a lot of the restaurants we go to, they're using ultra processed foods, vegetable oils, seed oils, and they're putting together this concoction of ultra processed foods for you to eat, and they're serving it to you. And that's where most of us are getting a big dose of ultra processed food. That, and of course, fast food.
I know when I went, we had sweet greens delivered today. So I heard Drew's podcast about the sweet greens guy, and I'm like, okay, because I'm always on my oil hunt. And it's not that, like, I think, we don't have to be like, I'll never have that. That's not the issue. You actually need 6s. They're essential. But, your 6 to 3 gets so out of whack because of traveling. So that is the one that we really watch. I keep thinking I need to just start to travel with my olive oil at some point. I'm like, how many suitcases am I going to take?
Exactly.
I mean, it's, come on, now you're at the restaurant with all of your sea salt and who leave,
I know. Yes. It gets a little bit, it gets to be a lot sometimes.
It is wild with the ultra processed foods and the effect on your metabolism. And I heard this one from our buddy, Sean Stevenson, the cheese sandwich study. Did you hear this cheese?
No, I didn't know.
So they did and this, I mean, I was like going, I wouldn't tell them to eat the cheese sandwich. So this was a cheese sandwich. They did a processed cheese spread. God knows what that is, with, just some with basically it was what my mom used to send me to school with, was the processed cheese from the white bread, the Wonder Bread. That used to be lunch. Yep. Maybe if I was lucky, I got bologna. And then versus a whole grain and real cheddar cheese sandwich. And there was a 500 calorie metabolic difference in the thermic effect of like just this dump in your metabolism. So, I mean, it's the ultra processed food thing makes you want more and lowers your metabolic rate from it. It's like, that's like the 1-2 big punch.
Big punch.
Horrible.
Exactly. And, I feel like some people think that it's they're never going to eliminate ultra processed food from their diet. They're never going to stop going to restaurants. So they just give up. And I try to encourage people that even if you have a 50% reduction, it's going to make a massive difference with exactly that fact that you talked about, the thermic effect of that food versus
real food. An A+, and it's like boring. Get a B+, A-.
Right.
And I had a great nutrition mentor who said, the sicker you are, the farther back in your ancestry you need to go. I think it's like you have very little margin for error. If you're in that situation, be really clean. Right. But once you get yourself back to it, then you have a little wiggle room. Plus exercise gives you more wiggle room.
Absolutely.
Right? And eating some energy deficit. Like it really becomes problematic if you're eating too much.
Right. Absolutely. And snacking multiple times a day.
Snacking should not be a thing.
Right.
Just no snacking. Like I still remember when snacking became a thing.
Right.
And it was when Susan Powter screamed, "Stop the insanity." We started taking all the fat out of things. I was working at Pritikin at the time, and everything was like, eat as low fat as humanly possible. And we were starving to death. So we had to snack. And so they created a whole snacking thing. And I remember back then I was like, we have to not do this. We're keeping our blood sugar up all the time. And we're dripping food all the time. It's just a terrible idea. All right. So we've got we've talked over these 3 pillars.
Right.
Okay. So now that we've gotten those, the 80-20 there, what would be the next step?
So the next step now is I always tell people the next step is now I'm going to make sure you're not going to die. And so what do most people end up passing away from? If you look at the CDC top 10 causes of death, heart disease is number 1. We all know about, heart attacks. 50% of all heart disease gets diagnosed with your first heart attack, and 50% of those are fatal.
Right.
So a quarter of the population doesn't know they have heart disease until they're dead from it. So this
What is that?
Is because it is massively ignored and underdiagnosed in medicine, just like metabolic diseases, which is the foundation for heart disease, and Alzheimer's is another major cause of death, and cancer is as well. Metabolic disease leads to all of those, right? And so there's a massive amount of underdiagnosis happening in the general population. And, the typical Western medicine doctors are going to kill me for saying this, but it's like we just need to get much more proactive about diagnosing diseases early rather than diagnosing them when the people finally get symptomatic. Symptomatic means you've had a heart attack, you have chest pain, you have mild cognitive impairment, you have a tumor that's causing you to, throw up now. It's just way too late. All of these things start 20 to 30 years before you get symptoms. And we're so used to diagnosing things at symptoms. So this is where bringing the best of Western medicine comes into play. So we have incredible diagnostics in Western medicine. We're just not using them early enough. So I have all my patients do tests like full body MRIs. We have the Grill liquid biopsy test for cancer as well. In addition to their normal screening on the cancer front. On the metabolic disease front, we're doing continuous glucose monitors, insulin levels, homocysteine, uric acid. We talked about those things too. Continuous glucose monitors have been a game changer. With the cardiac diagnostics, we are doing a coronary calcium score on everybody, and then a Clearly test if they need it. And that's giving us a lot of information. And also we're doing the full body MRI, I think I talked to you about.
Yes.
In addition to a full functional medicine blood panel as well. So, these are diagnostics that are getting cheaper and cheaper now as time goes on. They're still, expensive for most, but if the patient does do this diagnostic kind of test, we call it an executive physical, this group of tests, we get incredible information of pre-diagnosed disease 20 or 30 years before it occurs.
And the reality is, it is really expensive to treat a disease when it's already entrenched, right? So let's unpack this a little bit, because the first thing you said was full body MRI and a liquid biopsy, but just all like liquid biopsy. Now, do you need both? Do you need the liquid biopsy as well, or just the MRIs? I don't know.
Okay, so 21st century cancer diagnostics should be your normal screening tests, so your colonoscopies, mammograms, and GYN exams for women, prostate specific antigen, and there's some deeper prostate blood tests we can get for men. Skin cancer checks, okay, so everyone should be checked for skin cancer once a year. And those are like the only recommended diagnostics in the Western world right now for cancer. On top of that, the full body MRI is extremely powerful for diagnosing tumors that those tests can't diagnose.
So then why would you need to do, and especially with mammograms, with Switzerland just outlawing mammograms?
They do.
Yeah, and I've got some amazing doctors in Mindshare who have gone through all the statistics that show there's no difference between someone getting a mammogram or not getting a mammogram and their death from breast cancer. And in fact, we have this one doctor, Dr. Jen Simmons, who's actually got a new technology that she's pushing out. So it's a very cool time in the mammogram.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But couldn't you just skip all those and just do the full body MRI?
No, because an MRI is not very good at looking at your colon for colon cancer. Unless you're focused on the breast, it's not going to pick up all breast cancers either.
Could you do that in an ultrasound for your breast?
Yes, you could do that in an ultrasound.
That in an ultrasound for your breast. You could do a virtual colonoscopy and only go in if you had polyps.
Yes, you can do that as well. Yep.
That's what I did the first time, because I was like, oh, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
One of my friends had just launched virtual colonoscopy.
Yes.
At MRI Center. I go, that sounds better.
Yes.
That's a lot better. Granted, insurance didn't cover it, but.
Right. This is why, like, a lot of these things that are like cutting edge, insurance is not going to cover it. So how do you get the most from your insurance and then add only what you need to add? You know what I mean? And so, look, there's definitely going to be a world where mammograms go away, colonoscopies go away. We're not there yet.
Right.
But it's important to be more complete. I think a lot of people just stop at what insurance covers and they don't go an additional step. And it's time for people to start going that additional step.
Especially with early detection being cancer, everything. So
I always say, like, if Steve Jobs had full body MRI.
Eating so weird.
Yeah, and that, right? I mean, I think that's what caused the pancreatic issue, was just fructose overload.
Crazy diet. Yeah, you'd be a fruitarian.
Right.
So we could ask Dr. Rick Johnson.
Yes.
He would have something to say on that. And then the liquid biopsy, talk about that.
So the liquid biopsy detects cell-free DNA of active tumors that are growing inside of you. And what's really powerful about that is, I would say, cancer's biggest enemy is being diagnosed at stage 1, right? And so if you can diagnose tumors early, then you have a much better fighting chance of being curative versus like, stage 3 or 4, we're talking 5-year survival rates now. So liquid biopsy is picking up cell-free DNA. That's DNA. That's not a genetic risk of cancer. It is actual tumor DNA that's being shed into your bloodstream. And you can pull that out of a blood sample now. And so for about 50 different types of tumors, it will find the cell-free DNA, and then we can go looking for the actual tumor.
So that in itself wouldn't be diagnostic enough?
It wouldn't, no. You have to follow it up with a traditional diagnostic study like an MRI that's looking. So say it picks up a pancreatic tumor under your cell-free DNA, then we'd have to do a MRI of your pancreas with thin cuts to actually look for the tumor itself, because it's likely picking up something. If it's not symptomatic, it's not a large enough tumor to become symptomatic, so you have to really go searching for it.
Got it.
But it is very specific, so it will tell you have a liver tumor, you have a pancreatic tumor. It'll tell you where to look.
So in the order of how you would do it, because do you do all of them, or do you do this one and then because of the results of this one, do the next one?
We do everything at the same time. And the reason is most people are not going to pick up anything,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the other important thing about the full body MRI to know as well is we can also pick up anatomical issues. So things like abdominal aortic aneurysms, brain
Well, that would be
aneurysms.
good to find.
Exactly. Almost all of those are fatal when they're
Yes.
diagnosed, right? Because they're ruptured.
Yep, that's what my grandmother died of.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She was like, my mom just passed at 93, and everyone's like, oh, I'm sorry. I go, my mom won this round of life. She slid into home. She was fully functional and then zoop out like a light. Same with grandma, fully functional and then boop. It's like, that's what you want in your 90s, although I want it in my 120s.
Yes.
And then, right. And then, because here's what's super cool. Because we're living to 120 well, that means that we are, because I started to go, am I not middle-aged anymore?
Sure.
But you are middle-aged if we're living to 120. So that's it.
I love that.
There you go. Just fix it.
Exactly.
Okay, what about the Clearly test?
Okay. But clearly is also another revolution in diagnostics for cardiac disease. So the reality is, there's so much controversy around cholesterol. Cholesterol levels are not diagnostic for cardiac disease. It just means you have a high cholesterol. You need multiple factors for that high cholesterol to cause damage to your blood vessels. So one of the most underutilized tests that we've had available forever is a coronary calcium score. That's a quick CAT scan of your heart that tells you if you have calcium deposit into your blood vessels.
Now, is that a hard or soft plaque?
That is hard plaque. Okay. Now the Clearly is diagnostic for soft plaque. So now
Explain the difference so everybody knows.
absolutely, yeah. So when a blood vessel starts getting clogged, for lack of a better term, it goes through kind of a stepwise fashion of that clogging occurring. First thing that happens is cholesterol gets under the arterial wall, and that's called soft plaque. Then your body tries to heal it with inflammation, and it calcifies it, and that's called hard plaque. So first you're going to have soft plaque, and then you're going to have hard plaque. Hard plaque is your body's attempt to make sure, this soft plaque doesn't turn into a heart attack. And so it's actually trying to heal this plaque. And so what the Clearly does is a CAT scan of your heart, and utilizing artificial intelligence, it is now able to show us every artery of your heart and how much soft plaque is there, and how much hard plaque is there. And it can even go one step further and tell you if that soft plaque is unstable.
Wow. So you wouldn't have to do the coronary calcium score.
Exactly.
Be redundant. Wow, that's amazing. Well, what
incredible
happens
test.
if you've got unstable soft plaque? Because I know that's the dangerous.
Super dangerous. Unstable soft plaque usually means you need to go see a cardiologist and probably get some sort of intervention done. Maybe a stent to put in. Yeah, exactly. Because you're living with a ticking time bomb pretty much.
Wow, what an amazing test. And how often would you get those, and at what age would you start?
Yeah, it really depends. So there is more radiation to the Clearly test because you're really getting a really clear CAT scan of your heart. So we try not to use it unless it's indicated or we feel strongly. So we're looking at looking at the overall patient, like what is their family history? What is their cholesterol levels? Do they have high blood pressure? Do they have inflammation? What are their homocysteine levels? And if they have a constellation of risk factors, then we'll get the Clearly. And then some people are getting the Clearly on a yearly basis because they have a lot of risk factors. Other people is once every 5 years or so because we have a really good picture. We know what we're going to do, and it's not dangerous right now.
And if they have a lot of risk factors, and okay, there's a little of the genetics, but it's more just lifestyle risk factors. And they repair all those, and their ApoB comes down, and their homocysteine gets into range. Their HSCRP is good. Do they still need to do it because there's the long-term damage that they've done, or have they gotten themselves kind of in the clear because of all the lifestyle stuff?
Everyone's different. So there are some people that have completely fixed their lifestyle, but they still have coronary disease that we need to monitor very closely. And so I can think of dozens of patients that we were able to actually reverse some of their plaque.
I was just going to ask you, so you can revert, how do you do that?
Getting all the lifestyle things right, first of all. Using some of the more aggressive cholesterol managing medications helps as well, like Repatha, which is the injectable medication. But, some people are reversing coronary disease just with lifestyle. We've seen that.
Really? Where does it go? Like, what happens to this plaque? How does the hard plaque go away?
Yeah, so the hard plaque is harder to reverse, but the soft plaque,
But it's not risky? It's not breaking free and...
The soft plaque?
Yeah.
No. So what happens is your body has a mechanism to fix this.
Absorbing it?
Your HDLs go in there and remove cholesterol from the arterial wall. So if you can just give them a chance, your body can reverse this damage. Yeah.
Wow. Another vote for exercise too. Exactly. I know exercise and fiber are good with that.
Absolutely.
That is super cool.
Yeah.
Which then leads me, when I think of heart disease, and especially women, I know that one of the things that's irked me for the last decade is all the negativity around hormones and all the concern around breast cancer when women die mostly of heart disease. And if they're monitoring it, even if they do get breast cancer, their survival rate's so good if they catch it early. And when estrogen goes down, and I didn't know this at first. I was working in a cosmetic surgery, a plastic surgery institute, seeing clients in Rancho Mirage, and I could tell who was on hormones and who wasn't. So they could do all their labs. The doctors would send them in. They'd had their labs done. I'm looking at them, and it was like I didn't even have to ask.
Yeah,
because it was so clear.
Yeah,
so clear what would happen with their inflammatory markers, their cholesterol, everything was like off the charts bad.
I see that all the time. Yeah, and so you mentioned this misconception around hormones that's created this, basically, I think has killed a decade of women. I mean, it's just really sad to see what the Women's Health Initiative did, and specifically the media that misreported a lot of it.
That stupid 25% of all of the breast cancer increase, which was one person.
Oh, there's so many flaws in a lot of the reporting and the study itself, obviously. And so after we talk about, in my kind of paradigm that I take our patients through, once we get through those three things, we didn't talk about Alzheimer's, but everything else feeds into that, metabolic disease, Alzheimer's, is when we start talking about functional medicine. That's hormones, gut health, and detoxifying someone's life, and also emotional health, stress, et cetera. And it's so clear to me, both men and women suffer needlessly from the kind of the backlash of Western medicine towards hormone replacement therapy. And there's so much suffering that's happening. And
why is there a backlash with Western medicine? Is it because it can't be that the best ones are compounded, and what is it?
It's multifactorial. I think that people are stuck in kind of some of these older studies where, having optimal testosterone levels can lead to worsening of arterial plaque. We know that's not true. We know that, hormones don't lead to breast cancer for women either. And so I think a lot of people in the Western medicine world were educated when that was the party line of the studies. And now we've turned all that around, but there's not new education, and people are just entrenched in their opinions. I think that's the biggest problem, actually. People are entrenched in their opinions. And then the compounding thing is another big problem. These are compounded, and they're not something that the pharmaceutical companies have available for purchase.
So someone now has cleaned up all of this. How are you evaluating them for hormone replacement therapy? And are there people who are not a candidate?
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely people that are not candidates. And Then we're doing a lot of other types of things, supplements, exercise, nutritional support to get them to where we can help them. But I think that the way we evaluate someone next is we do a full functional medicine panel, because with functional medicine, as you know, you're really focusing on the root cause of all of these issues. And so a lot of people don't even know what the root causes are. So we do a lot of education around that. Hormone dysregulation is one of them. We're checking for multiple different toxicities. We're checking heavy metals, molds, indolent infections. We're checking for mitochondrial health as well as another root cause. Gut
How are you
health.
checking for mitochondrial health?
Well, that's a really tough one. And I knew you were going to ask me that. But there's a new test out there that
I just did it today.
You did it. Amazing. So we're so excited about it.
I'm so excited about it. I've always used organic acids, and I'm like, just like looking at the exhaust in your car. I'm like, this is so cool. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either. And there's a new NAD level test coming out as well. So we're going to have ways to check for mitochondrial health that I think are extremely exciting. And then we're checking gut health as well. I mean, so much of our inflammation begins in our gut. And so we're looking at all of this together. And the best part about root cause medicine is, number one, you avoid disease. But the second best part is that you end up having people feeling incredible again, right?
Yeah.
They're more vibrant, they have more energy, they're sleeping better.
Maybe not even again, maybe for the first time ever. I mean, you think about it, there's so much I wish I'd had this information.
Yeah.
And I've always been in the field, but gosh, I mean.
Well, this is what changed my life, because I think that even though I did not, I did all the calcium scores and things like that. And luckily, I was in the clear, but I felt horrible. And really, when I went to the functional medicine courses and fixed my gut health, fixed my hormones with hormone replacement, is when I finally felt much, much better and really reversed the course of my health and my destiny, I think. So,
right.
Yeah.
And now you can have quality years and live to 120 plus.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Cool.
Exactly.
So now you have these clinics. You started with, you have, I think, 6 now.
6 of them.
And now you have 44 popping up.
Right.
So this will be fantastic, because it is one of the challenges is people start to learn about this and they don't know where to go.
Exactly.
So your clinics are called Next Health.
Next Health, right. And so the other big piece of what we're doing too is we are actually a one-stop shop to do all the fun stuff that, you and I use around longevity. So things like sauna therapy, cryotherapy.
Oh, so you have a little biohacking lab
We
too?
do, yes.
Oh,
So
nice.
we call it our longevity circuit. And so we have people come in. We've done all the diagnostics, and now we also have these things that you can come in once a week and do. So
What do you have?
hyperbaric oxygen, we have infrared light, we have heat sauna and cryotherapy. So people do that. We also have IV therapy at all the locations. So we can do nutrient IVs, NAD, and we're doing some of the advanced longevity things like therapeutic plasma exchange, stem cell, exosome therapy, ozone. That's kind of like the high level of what we're doing. And we're doing hormone replacement therapy as well. And we're working with some people with weight optimization as well.
Cool. You got it all.
Under one
How
roof.
fun.
Yes.
Yes.
It is a lot of fun.
I used to have girls' night out at the Plastic Surgery Institute where we'd bring all sorts of different people in and do, but now, like next level, now we can go to the biohacking lab.
Exactly.
We actually did that in Tampa with one of our doctors, Dr. Lisa Coates. She had a biohacking lab, and we brought all the mastermind members in and had an evening event. We're all doing cryo, and they had the cryotherapy that was like the size of a huge walk-in freezer.
Yes.
Which was crazy. And then we had a salt room.
Yes.
And I mean, it was so much fun.
So fun.
So fun.
We do that all the time.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah.
We don't have a salt room, but we do have that big cryo chamber too.
So you have the big one.
Yeah, we get like 4 people.
It's so fun. And everyone's in there jumping up and down and trying to,
dancing. There's a lot of dancing going on.
It's cold. I do not like being cold, but in
Right.
a short time. Well, thank you so much for that. I'm going to put into the show notes all of the information about the centers, how to get more information, how to get on your newsletter. I'll put that at jjvirgin.com/Next Health. And I just love, you're really revolutionizing things. I love it.
Thank you so much, AJ. A lot of fun.
Be sure to join me next time for more tools, tips, and techniques you can incorporate into everyday life to ensure you look and feel great, and more importantly, that you're built to last. And check me out on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and my website, jjvirgin.com. And make sure to follow my podcast so you don't miss a single episode at subscribetojj.com. See you next time. Hey, JJ here. And just a reminder that the Well Beyond 40 podcast offers health, wellness, fitness, and nutritional information that's designed for educational and entertainment purposes only. You should not rely on this information as a substitute for, nor does it replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you have any concerns or questions about your health, you should always consult with a physician or other healthcare professional. Make sure that you do not disregard, avoid, or delay obtaining medical or health-related advice from your healthcare professional because of something you may have heard on the show or read in our show notes. The use of any information provided on the show is solely at your own risk.